Hello, welcome to our Civil Service Promotion COMPRO and Recruitment Exam CBT question and answer video presentation for today. As the day for your exam draw ever more closer, we have seen the need of bringing to your attention some of those unique current affairs and general questions you might most likely see that has happened in recent times. Today we'll be looking at 50 questions that is under the general questions you might most likely see. And in this our video presentation, we have brought out 4 series of our general question. If you haven't seen the first 3 series, then you are missing out. Check the description section of this video for the playlist to the general question where we have the other 3 series. If you have not subscribed to our channel, then you are missing out because you might not be notified when most of our video updates will be done. So if you haven't done that, check down, click the subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that once we brought up or we upload any of our videos, you will be notified once they are uploaded. I want to, well in advance, wish you the best in your exams. Now let's scrutinize and check out 50 good questions you might most likely see in your forthcoming exams. Now let's look at the first question. The first general question we'll consider is, which major global economic bloc admitted Nigeria as a partner country in 2025? Is it A, G20, B, OECD, C, the BRICS, or D, ECOWAS? The right option is option C. In 2025, Nigeria was formally admitted as a partner country of the BRICS, aligning with Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa to strengthen trade and multipolar cooperation. Option C. Question number 2. What percentage of import duty did Nigeria recently impose on petrol and diesel to support local refineries? A, 10%, B, 15%, C, 20%, and D, 25%. What do you think is the answer to this? These are most likely questions you might most likely see when it comes to current affairs. The right option is option B. The federal government announced a 15% import duty on refined petroleum products to encourage local refining, especially by the Dangote and Port Harcourt refineries. Option B. Question number 3. Which city hosted Africa's first ever E1 Powerboat World Championship race in 2025? Is it A, Lagos, B, Abuja, C, Accra, and D, Cape Town? The right option is option A, and option A says Lagos. The Lagos hosted the E1 electronic powerboat race that was the first of its kind in Africa. It showcased Nigeria's emerging role in global sports tourism. Option A. Question number 4. What major initiative did the federal government launch in 2025 to digitalize public service operation? A. National Identity Number Expansion, B. E-Governance Integration Project, C. Smart Nigeria Policy, and D. Treasury Single Account 2. The right option is option B, and option B says the E-Governance Integration Project. And this is in line with the government's project introduced to streamline service delivery and digitalize record management across all ministry, departments, and agencies. Option B. Question number 5. Which Nigerian city was selected as the 2025 African Capital of Culture by the AU? Is it A, Kano State, B, Lagos, C, Abuja, and D, Calabar? The right option is option C, and option C says Abuja. The explanation says the African Union named Abuja as the African Capital of Culture 2025, a recognition of Nigerian cultural influence and creative industry. Question number 6. Which Nigerian state recently commissioned the largest solar mini-grid project in West Africa? A, Kaduna, B. Nasarawa, C. Niger State, and D. Borno State. The right option is option C, and option C is Niger State. The Niger State Solar Mini Grid project is part of the World Bank Distributed Access to Renewable Energy Program, the DARE program. Option C. Question number 7. What major health policy was introduced in 2025 to expand universal health coverage in Nigeria? A. NHIA Comprehensive Access Plan, B. National Health Insurance Scheme 2.0, C. Basic Health Renewal Fund, and D. Rural Care Initiative. The right option is option A, and option A say NHIA Comprehensive Access Plan, and that is option A. Question number 8. In 2025, Nigeria began piloting a new digital identity verification platform called what? NIM Verify, eNaira Plus, Smart ID Portal, and ID Connect. The right option is option A, which is the NIN Verify. The NIN Verify is a digital identity authentication platform that is developed by the NIMC to integrate ID services with banking and government transaction. Option A. Question number 9. Nigeria's economy grew by approximately what rate year on year on in the first half of 2025? A. 2.1, B. 3.9%, C. 5.5%, and D. 1.8%. The right option is option B, and option B says 3.9%. Now, according to the World Bank, Nigeria economy expanded by 3.9% year on year on in the first half of 2025, option B. Question number 10. The Nigerian government signed 4 key tax reform bill into law on what date? A. July 12, 2025, B. July 28, 2025, C. March 25, 2025, and D. June 26, 2025. Which of these is the right date? Expect a question like this. The right option is option D, and option D says June 26, 2025. And that was the day President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signed into law 4 major tax reform bills: the Nigerian Tax Act 2025, Nigerian Tax Administration Act 2025, and other bills. So the right option is option D. Question number 11. Which reform initiative aimed to train public servants in AI and digital skills to boost productivity in Nigeria? A. Smart Civil Service Initiative, B. AI Civil Service Skill Program, C. Google NITDA AI Training for Government Workers, D. Digital Civil Service 2025. The right option is option C, and option C says Google NITDA AI Training for government workers. To explain, we say Nigeria partnered with Google and NITDA to train public servants in AI skill, recognizing the economic potential for AI investment. Question number 12. What is the name of the Public Service Reform Report which recommend the elimination, merger, or many government agency and remains relevant in 2025? A. Udoji Report, B. Orasaye Report, C. Ayida Report, and D. Okigbo Commission. The right option is option B, which is the Steve Orasaye Committee report, which was still brought up by this administration. A report on federal agency reconstruction, it remains the key blueprint for civil service reform in Nigeria, option B. Question number 13. Nigerian Central Bank cut its benchmark interest rate to what level in September 2025? A. Is it 30%, B. 27%, C. 25%, or D. 21%? Take note of questions like this. question like this, the answer is B, and the B says 27%. The central bank cut the Nigeria interest rate in September 2025 by 27%. Question number 14. Nigeria and Brazil signed an agreement in June 2025. What about how much to boost agriculture, food security and energy? A. 500 million US dollar, B. 3 million US dollar, C. 2 million US dollar, and D. 1 billion US dollar. The right option is option D, and option D says 1 billion US dollar. On 24 June 2025, Nigeria and Brazil signed a US 1 billion US dollar deal covering mechanized farming equipment, training and service center. Option D. Question number 15. What major export restriction did Nigeria impose in 2025 on raw shell nuts? A. 6-month ban, B. 2-year ban, C. Ban on all shell exports, and D. 50% export tax. The right option is option A, and option A says 6-month ban. Nigeria banned the export of raw shell nut for 6 months in a move to promote local refining and value addition. Option A. Question number 16. The China Development Bank released approximately how much to Nigeria for the Kaduna Railway project in January 2025? A. 300 million US dollar, 255 million US dollar, 500 million US dollar, or 1 billion US dollar. The right option is option B, and option B says 255 million US dollar. That is to support the rail project linking Kano and Kaduna. Question number 17. Which mega oil refinery in Nigeria announced plan in October 2025 to expand capacity from 650,000 barrels per day to 1.4 million barrels per day? A. Port Harcourt Refinery, B. Kaduna Refinery, C. Dangote Refinery, and D. Warri Refinery. The right option is option C. The Dangote Refinery announced the planned expansion to 1.4 million barrels per day. Question number 18. Nigeria intends to complete the full digitalization of the Federal Civil Service by which deadline? All civil servants should know this. Is it December 2024, January 2027, June 2026, or December 2025? The right option is option D, and option D says December 2025. Option D. Question number 19. The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway just covered approximately how many kilometers? A. 700 kilometers, B. 500 kilometers, C. 1,000 kilometers, and D. 1,200 kilometers. The right option is option A, and option A says 700 good kilometers from Lagos to Calabar. Option A. Question number 20. What is the target economy size Nigeria is aiming for by the year 2030? Is it 500 billion US dollar economy, or 1 trillion US dollar economy, or 1.5 trillion US dollar economy, or 2.2 trillion US economy? The right option, you should take note of this question. The right option is option B, and the option B says 1 trillion dollar US economy by the year 2030. Take note, and the option is option B. Question number 21. What percentage of non-oil export to GDP did Nigerian current account surplus reach in first quarter 2025? 3.4%, B 5.3%, C 8.2%, and D 6.1%. The right option is option D, and option D says 6.1%. Nigerian external position improved with the current account surplus rising to 6.1% of GDP, largely due to non-oil exports. Option D. Question number 22. The recent major military shake-up in Nigeria in October 2025 saw which officer appointed as the new Chief of Defence Staff (CDS)? A. General Christopher Musa, B. General Olufemi Oluyede, C. Major General YD Shuaibu, and D. Rear Admiral Idris Abba. Which is the right option? Take note of this question, you might most likely see it. The right option is option B, and option B is General Olufemi Oluyede. He's now the new Chief of Defence Staff. He's promoted to become the Chief of Defence Staff. And that was in October 2025. Question number 23. What was the federal government justification for quickly screening and confirming the new service chief in late October 2025 to reduce military expenditure, to fill vacant civilian posts, to ensure continuity in national security operation, and to decentralize the defense command? The right option is option C, and option C says to ensure continuity in national security operations. Question number 24. Which service branch did Major General YD Shuaibu become head of in the October 2025 appointment? A. Navy, B. Air Force, C. Army, and D. Defense Intelligence. Take note of this question, you might most likely see them. The right option is option C. YD Shuaibu was appointed Chief of Army Staff. Option C. Question number 25. Which of the following was retained in his post during the October 25 military leadership changes? A. Chief of Defence Staff, B. Chief of Army Staff, C. Chief of Defence Intelligence, and D. Chief of Army Intelligence. Take note of this question, you might most likely see it. The right option is option C. The Major General Emmanuel A.P. Udendeyi retained his role as the Chief of Defence Intelligence, and that is option C. The Chief of Defence Intelligence retained its role during the shake-off. Question number 26. Which law was cited by President Tinubu as the basis for the nomination of the new service chief in October 2025? A. Armed Forces Act Section 18, Paragraph 1, Civil Service Reform Act Section 21, Defence Intelligence Act Section 12, and Oil and Gas Reform Act Section 10. The right option is option A, and option A says the letter to the Senate reference Section 1, Paragraph 1 of the Armed Forces Act, Cap A20, LFN 2004. Option A. Question number 27. Which major secretary concern was cited as part of the reason for the military leadership overhaul? A. High oil prices, B. Resurgent insurgencies and banditry, C. Decline in population, D. Trade union strike. A. The right option is B, and the right option is resurgence of insurgencies and banditry. Question number 28. The service chief shake-up included the appointment of Air Vice Marshal S.K. Anike to which position? A. Chief of Defence Staff, B. Chief of Army Staff, C. Chief of Naval Staff, and D. Chief of Air Staff. Which is the right option? The right option is option D. He was appointed the Chief of Air Staff. S.K. Anike was appointed Chief of Air Staff in October 2025 reform. Question number 29. On October 31st, 2025, the US designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern under the International Religious Freedom Act because of alleged violation in which area? A. Trade liberalization, B. Monetary policy, C. Religious freedom, and D. Election integrity. The right option is option C. The US cited Nigeria for particular several violations of religious freedom when it re-added Nigeria to its CPC list. Option C. Question number 30. What implication does the CPC designation have for Nigerian bilateral ties with the US? A. Automatically terminates all oil contracts. B. Closer US scrutiny and potential sanction on aid and trade. C. Grants Nigeria extra military funding. And D. Exempts Nigeria from all US visa requirements. The right option is option B, and option B says closer US scrutiny and potential sanction on aid and trade. Question number 31. According to CPC destination context, what must a country demonstrate to be removed from the list? A. Increase in oil production. B. Show sustained improvement in religious freedom protection. C. Join the G20. D. Reduce its national debt by 10%. The right option is option B, and option B says show sustained improvement in religious freedom protections. Option B. Question number 32. Nigeria's new service chief appointment in October 2025 aimed at which key security objective? A. Reduce public service salaries. B. Privatizing military bases. C. Expanding Nigerian space program. And D. Strengthening operation against insurgents, banditry, and internal plots. The right option is option D, and option D says strengthening operation against insurgents, banditry, and internal plots like kidnapping and internal security threats. Question number 33. Which law did the US cite as authority when designating Nigeria a country of particular concern? A. Foreign Sovereign Immunity Act. B. Patriot Act. C. International Religious Freedom Act. And D. Trade Act of 1974. The right option is option D. That is wrong. The right option should be option C, and option C says International Religious Freedom Act. The designation is made under the International Religious Freedom Act of 1998 and its amendment. So this should be option C instead of option D. These guys got it wrong this time around. So this is option C and not option D. Question number 34. What potential action did the US President publicly mention in connection with Nigerian CPC designation? A. Sending educational material only. B. Preparing for possible military intervention if abuses doesn't stop. C. Imposing an immediate travel ban on all Nigeria. And D. Hosting Nigeria in a trade summit. The right option is option B, and option B says preparing for possible military intervention if abuses doesn't stop. The US leader said he instructed the Pentagon to prepare for possible action if Nigeria failed to address the persecution concerns. Option B. Question number 35. What broader lesson does Nigerian CPC issue highlight for federal civil service officers preparing for directorate role? A. That internal politics is more important than external reputation. B. That national governance issues, including human rights, can affect administrative leadership and international relations. C. That only economic issue matters for civil servants. And D. That the civil service is unaffected by foreign policy designation. The right option is option B, and option B, that national governance issue, including human rights, can affect administrative leadership and international relations. Take note of that. So directorate level officers must appreciate how domestic governance, including human rights, security and external reputation, links to administrative leadership, policy implementation, and international cooperation. Option B. Question number 36. Which of the following best summarizes how the country of particular concern designation might impact Nigeria's civil service support structure? A. It only affects military spending. B. It may trigger stronger oversight, transparency demand, and external audit scrutiny. C. It guarantees more foreign service jobs. D. It exempts Nigeria from other international human rights obligations. The right option is option B, And option B says it may trigger stronger oversight, transparency demand, and external audit scrutiny. Question number 37. Which of the following is a key feature of the Nigerian Tax Act 2025? A. Consolidation of major tax law into a single unified act. B. Introduction of a new 2% export tax on cocoa. C. Removal of all corporate tax for 10 years. And D. Immediate implementation on July 1st, 2025. The right option is option A, and option A says the consolidation of major tax law into a single unified act. So the National Tax Act 2025, Nigerian Tax Act 2025 consolidates the company income tax, personal income tax, petroleum profit tax act, etc. into a unified structure effective January 1, 2026. What is the new development level introduced by the tax reform? A 10% levy on digital advertising. B, a surcharge on import of cars. C, a tax only on expatriate workers. D, a 4% level on accessible profit replacing several sector-specific levies. The right option is option D. The NTA law introduce a 4% level on accessible profit, replacing several sector-specific levies. Option D, the NTA law 2005 introduced a 4% development levy on accessible profit for companies, excluding small companies, to replace multiple overlapping levies like education, tertiary education tax, NASENI, IT levy, etc. So these are some of those levels they brought into one. Question number 29. From what date will most of the 2025 tax reform take effect? A. 1 July 2025, B. 1st January 2026, C. 1st October 2025, and D. immediately upon assent. The right option, we all know that, is option B. Question number 40. Which new rule ensures that large companies pay a minimum effective tax rate under the reform? A. Minimum ETR of 5% for all companies. B. Minimum ETR of 10% only for banks. Minimum ETR of 15% for large companies and multinationals. And D. There is no minimum ETR requirement. The right option is option C, and option C says minimum ETR of 15% for large companies and multinational companies. And this is effective tax rate for large companies. Option C. Question number 41. What change was made regarding capital gain tax for companies under the reform? A. Capital gain tax rate for companies reduced to 5%. CGT was abolished entirely for companies. CGT rate for companies increased to 30%, and indirect tax transfer of shares are now taxable. CGT remains unchanged at 10%. The right option is option C, and option C says CGT rate for companies increased to 30%, and indirect transfers of shares are now taxable. Question number, option C is the right option. Question number 42. Under the reform, individual earning above certain income threshold will benefit from tax relief and exception. Which of the following is correct? All individual earning less than 800,000 are exempt from tax. No exemption for low income earner. Individual earning less than 5 million are exempt. Only individual earning under 200,000 are exempt. The right option is option A, and option A says all individuals earning less than 800,000 are exempt from tax. One relief is that individuals with taxable profit of 800,000 or less per annum are exempted under the new tax regime, option A. Question number 43. Which of the following is not one of the reform introduced under the Nigerian Tax Administrative Act (TNTA) 2005? A. Mandatory tax identification number registration for all taxable persons. D. Digitalization of tax administration. C. Abolition of audit powers of the tax authority. And D. Uniform procedure for consistent tax assessment and collection. The right option is option C, and option C says abolishment of audit power of the tax authority is not one of the reform introduced. The NTA strengthened administration required TIN registration uniform procedure, but it did not abolish audit power. Option C. Question number 44. Which international multilateral institution committed to lending Nigeria $500 million in budget support in 2025? A. IMF. B. World Bank. C. African Development Bank. And D. Asian Development Bank. The right option is option C. African Development Bank. African Development Bank announced their intention to lend Nigeria $500 million in 2025 as part of a $1 billion program supporting reform. Option C. Question number 45. The reduction of electricity subsidy by 35% announced in April 2025 targeted which portion of electricity users? A. Bottom 15% of users. B. Top 15% of high usage users. A. All users equally. And D. In industrial users only. The right option is option B, and option B says top 15% of high usage users. The subsidy reduction follow a tariff hike for top 15% of high usage customers with revenue gain of above about 700 billion. Option B. Question number 46. The new tax reform include that all taxable persons including MDA must have which of the following? A. Tax identification number. B. Pre-audit exemption. C. Mandatory union membership. And D. Exemption from withholding tax. The right option is option A. They must have the tax identification number. Have you gotten yours? Under the NTAA 2025 tax regime, all taxable persons, including MDAs, those working, must register and obtain a TIN to enhance compliance and broaden the tax net. Option A. Question number 47. The 2025 tax reform law aimed to eliminate nuisance taxes. What does this term refer to? A. High yield taxes paid by multinationals. B. Only value-added taxes VAT on luxury cars. C. Taxes that reach minimum revenue and are costly to administer. D. Export duties on agricultural products. The right option is option C, and option C says taxes that yield minimum revenue and are costly to administer are called nuisance taxes. And the NTA 2025 targets such taxes that yield low revenue but imposes high compliancy costs for elimination. Option C. Question number 48. Which of the following digital assets are now explicitly taxable under the tax reform? A. Non-digital assets are excluded. B. Only national cryptocurrency. C. Profit or gain from virtual or digital asset transaction. D. Only foreign exchange earning. The right option is option B, and option B says the right option should be option C. The explanation says the NTA 2025 includes profit gain from transaction in digital or virtual assets as chargeable to tax. So the right option is option C and not option B. This is an error. So the right option is option C, profit gains from transaction in digital or virtual assets. Question number 49. In the 2025 reform, which entity is established to replace multiple revenue agencies and coordinate tax administration? A. Federal Tax Commission. B. Nigerian Revenue Service. C. Federal Income Authority. And D. Tax Coordination Board. The new name is now Nigeria Revenue Service. The reform established the Nigerian Revenue Service under the Reform Service Establishment Act 2025 to unify tax administration. Question number 50, which is the last but not the least. A key objective of the 2025 tax reform is to increase Nigerian tax to GDP ratio. What is the approximate ratio rate that the reform aimed to raise? A. Approximately 5%, B. Approximately 30%, C. Approximately 20%, and D. Approximately 10%. The right option is option D, approximately 10%. Nigerian tax to GDP ratio is currently about 10.8%. The reform aimed to increase this substantially during a broadened tax base and improve compliance. Option D. So this is the last question we're going to look at, but not the least. I want to say thank you very much for being attentive, for watching. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, then you are missing out being notified whenever our video presentation are being uploaded. For you to get notified once they are uploaded, just hit the subscribe button and make sure you turn on the notification bell, and boom, the video notification will get to you once we upload. Now I want to say thank you once more for watching. I want to see you in my next video. Thanks so much. Bye bye for now.